speaker will be sharing with us his insights and, of course, experience, as he's the immediate past District 20 Director, on the significant role of the leadership within Toastmasters clubs and, of course, within the Toastmasters organization. And, of course, this crucial experience will enable him to share his knowledge and experience, especially when he will highlight the segments of the election of area director. Before we welcome him, we would like just to give you a brief about what this segment will be about. Of course, it will be about the area election, as the speaker will talk about the leadership role, plus the do's and don'ts in the area leadership. So please put your hands together to welcome DTM Khalid Abdulla, our club president and the first presenter for today's event.
It feels like, match fixing. One introduces the other. But thank you so much, DTM Zahra, for the lovely introduction. And moving on to the area director election process. And let me just give you a snippet on how this ended up being a topic for an OiG. A few weeks ago, in BAT XCOM, I think I can write a book after being a president of BAT XCOM. So much happens in the XCOM, by the way, group. So many things happening. Okay, I don't see the chats. Hopefully there are no secrets being revealed on what's happening in the XCOM of BAT. But our amazing VPE, all right, I can see secret is coming. Yes, past ID Ali.
Yes, DTM Khalid, could you check your mic, or is it your mic, or I can also hear that disturbance? I'm not sure.
Is it?
Yeah, I thought it was only me. You're right. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, we can hear DTM Khalid also.
You can hear disturbance?
Yeah.
There's some disturbance, and your voice is a bit.
Looks like your mic is touching something. There is a disturbing noise.
Really? Oh, everyone is hearing disturbing noise. All right. That's, by the way, part of the workshop. So let me just fix this and come back to you in a minute. Just give me some time. How about now?
Can you speak again?
How about now?
Still a little disturbance. There's some lags and breakups.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, since this is old as gold, I will go to my old mic.
Am I audible now?
You are audible, but I think still. Can you speak again, Abdulla?
How about now?
Yeah, a little better. Yeah, but again, there's something. I think maybe it's the computer phone jack, audio jack there.
I think it's a jack-related issue.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do one thing. We'll let our master of ceremony entertain you for me to log off and log in back again. Let's see how it works. Back on spot. DTM Zahra.
Do impromptu table topics.
All right, the microphone is back now. So, by show of hands, if you've been an area director from before, please raise your hand. Nice and high. I have 1, 2. I'm pretty sure DTM Asif. You've been an area director from before, right? No? 3. Only 3 members? Sarah, you're an area director
Yeah.
now, if I'm not mistaken. So we have 4.
No, I'm not an area director now. I was an
Oh,
area director
But
last
before.
time. Yes.
Before.
Yeah, my
Okay,
hand
so
is
we have
raised. I
5.
think the virtual background is not making it visible.
And we have the area director, I think, for area 9, if I'm not mistaken. Our member as well, Toastmaster Rana Al-Manai as well. So we have almost like 5 to 6 members, including me. Khalid, you're back. Your microphone is ready.
Well, even if I'm back, I think you're doing better than me. How about my
No,
mic?
no, I can't. I know. I feel it's much better.
It's
Much better.
better.
Much
Yeah,
better.
the voice is much better now.
Alhamdulillah.
Much
We've
better
been
now?
praying for you, Khalid.
Okay.
Just keep your head straight. Don't move.
Like for a haircut? Okay, done. Let me do that now. Thank you so much, DTM Zahra, for picking on where I left. Honestly speaking, that was exactly what I wanted to do, asking that same question. So you did that the ice was broken, and that was not even part of the match fixing. And I'm still holding my head straight so we don't end up in having more trouble. But that's exactly what I wanted to ask. And I can see that we have many who raise their hands. Being an area director is something that is not easy. We are all in our cozy atmosphere in the club. We are happy. We know each other. Why do I need to be an area director? And that's a question many would ask you when you invite someone to be the area or the next area director. That same fear of staying in the comfort zone. Of course, we all come to those, I wouldn't say tricks, but they're real. You can continue your DTM. Okay, you finished all of the XCOM role. What is next? And all of these things that we use to encourage, of course, our members to become area directors.
I have a
And
different reason.
I know your reason very well. I hope that I hope that after, maybe, who knows, maybe after you become an area director, maybe you might get married. All right. So let me share my screen, and the ugly part of this that I would not be able to see the faces, the beautiful faces and everything around it. But if there is anything, DTM Zahra, please stop me and say that there is someone is asking a question. This amazing slides I took from one of the trainings that we had in the past few years during the XCOM training, so officers training. And there were many points. I can hear some now noise. Some noises.
Can you give me co-host rights or to moderate it, sir?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
There is your co-host. All right, so, and that deck that I will be going through is a little bit summarized. So we had that point where we wanted to go through that question. Why do I need to be an area director? So that question was taken away from here. The focus would be mainly on the election process. But if there are any other questions related to the questions that I raised now, we can definitely entertain them. So the election process, the focus is on the election process. But before we move on to the election process, let's just explore the council, the area council structure. So in the area council, we have these structures, and that's coming from the district leadership handbook. So we have the area director, we have the assistant area director program quality, assistant area director of club growth, area secretary, And then we have club presidents, vice president education, vice president of membership for each of the clubs that we have in the area itself. So only the above or their proxies are allowed to vote. A non-voting parliamentarian may also be appointed in the council election meeting. But before we go to the election process itself, throughout my year, of course, in leadership, and specifically last year, what I used to advise the area director is not just to delay the election process in the last area council meeting. In fact, because of the roles that we have in here, there are many opportunities that you can look into leadership potential from the roles that you have in your area, be it president, be it VPE or VPM, PQ, club growth, or even secretary. Not even those, because part of being an area director would be visiting the clubs in your areas. So you would be able to pick some individuals who you might feel that she or he can be your successor. So always remember to think for the end in mind before even you start. And this is something that I would definitely recommend. So remember that it's a process. It's not just in the last area council meeting where you need to think about the election. It's a process that starts even from the time you are appointed or in that case elected as an area director. So what goes into the area council meeting? And this is something that we need to remember. So the area council meeting is held not just for the election process, but it is there at least twice per year. I heard one of the districts during the mid-year training or during the training that I had last year, they used to ask the area director to conduct at least one meeting per month. That's part of their code of practice. So they are encouraging having the area director to meet even more than just twice a year, this is the minimum that we have. Now, what goes into the first meeting? I will come back to this in a while, or even the second meeting. What goes into these council meetings? Either any of these meetings would have to have at least 4 weeks advance notice. I've seen it in many places where it becomes an impromptu council meeting. One night before the council meeting, the area director would call the presidents and say, well, we have a council meeting tomorrow. That's not the case, definitely, as per the leadership handbook or as per the governance document. And this is, by the way, taken from the governance document, protocol 7.1 under district events title. And the council include exactly the list that I just described in the previous screen. So the council member would include the area director, assistant area director, program quality, club growth, secretary, all of the club presidents, VP and VPM of the area itself. What goes into the meetings itself? Apart from the election, which is very critical, of course, for the last council meeting, but there are many things that you can discuss in the council meetings apart from the election process itself. So club success plans, to know their progress, when are they going to reach into being distinguished club, the club calendar. You can also ask the club presidents, VP and VPM, whoever is presenting there, representing the club itself, to come and share their calendars, their initiatives. Club officers training, the attendance report. So you need to know, as an area director, although it is customary that in our district, the club officers training is being conducted by divisions, of course, powered by the PQD. The PQD is responsible for the overall training, but it's the area director responsibility to ensure training is happening. Plans for area events, if there are any events that you have as an area director, be it training, speech contests, when will the speech contest happen? When I used to be an area director, and I remember that vividly, I asked the clubs for even what if, of course, the responsibility for sponsoring the contest would be on the area director. He or she would have to use his or her skills to make sure that the sponsorship is there. But if the sponsorship is not successful, and that was, I think, even when I was the area director, I asked the clubs within my area, so this is my plan A. I would definitely try to get sponsorship. But plan B, if I'm not able to get sponsorship, we would need to split this among us. If at all we wanted to have a 5-star hotel and those amazing gold or old, yes, old is gold. At those ages, we used to have the contest in 5-star hotel. So that can be also agreed in the council meetings, because you don't want to, especially before the first council meeting, you want the clubs as well to budget for it, if that's the case. Then part 4, we come to the, for example, in our case, the election itself, in accordance to the district council decision to elect or appoint. So remember, in our district, it's election, but in many other districts around the world, it's appointment. So the district director appoints the area directors in that cases. And that's just expanding on the same point number 4. So A, in case for the appointments, or B, in our case, in case of election. So that's the item that has to be there in the council meeting. All right, moving on to calling for area director elections. And this is something that needs to be aligned with the district director, as of course approved by the district executive committee. The district director would have to announce the final last date for nomination, or in that case, of course, for elections. So the last date for getting to the district director is 10th of June. So in our case, so that's a message for everyone. If there would be any council that has to be held for the area director to be elected, you need to do it before 10th of June. Beyond 10th of June, that is the responsibility of the incoming district director to do the appointments. Okay, let's talk about proxies. We said that we have club presidents, vice president education, and membership, and those are the ones eligible to do the voting. But in case any of them could not make it, they can appoint someone in their place. Any paid member of the club can act as a proxy. There are 3 points that I would cover, just variation on the proxy part of it. In the event of 2 of those leaders do not attend, so what happens if you have 2 of those who you appointed as proxies could not make it? In that case, the active member who came would be able to cast 3 votes on behalf of the club. Second scenario, if 2 valid proxy holders are present and cannot decide among themselves, who will cast the 3rd vote? In that case, of course, it would go to the highest ranking leader. So in this case, if the president appointed someone, designated someone, and then the vice president of education designated another, and only both of them attended, VPM designee or the VPM nominee or proxy holder could not make it, then the president would hold the other 2 votes. In case there are proxies and none of them came, of course, the vote would be lost. So no one may vote on behalf of that role. I hope this is clear, but if there are any questions, we will come back to this and definitely entertain any questions. Quorum. I'm sure we all know by now that we need to have a quorum. And out of the list of council members that we had, we should be having a majority of the voting council members. So if we had, for example, 10, with 10, I think it should be 15, or let's just go 14. Even number is easier. So if we have 14, we need to have at least 8 attending the meeting to have a quorum. And in case we don't have a quorum, we cannot hold the election. So the election would have to be either delayed until we have a quorum, and you can do this later on when if there is still time, with enough notice, of course. Or in that case, if you don't, then it would just go to the incoming district director to do the appointments. And this is just an example of an email notification that an area director can use. And that email notification would be sent to the club president, VPE, and the VPM, asking them to look for nominees from their own clubs. Now, what would happen and this is a question many would ask, if I'm not a member of this area, can I still nominate myself? Of course, you can do this. You don't need to be a member of the club that would represent you, but you need to at least intimate any of the club president or VPE or VPM that I would want to represent that club from the floor. So that's a point that you need to remember. Let me take you through a few rules that through my research in the leadership handbook and the governance document that would be good reminders during such elections. So the first rule, each club in the area may submit to the area director in writing any paid member as a candidate for the area director. I think it's very descriptive and it's to the point. The area director places the names of candidates from the clubs in nominations at the election. Nominations then be accepted from the floor. There is a note here, an area director may also nominate themselves for another concurrent period. And the area director has the right to only be re-elected only once. So that is also a possibility. After nomination is closed, if there is only one candidate, the area director declares the candidate is elected, and we will come to this and explore it further. The area director may act as a club proxy and may cast up to 3 votes. So this is also possible. However, in the case of a tie, the area director is entitled to only 1 additional vote to break the tie. No area, and this is very interesting, and I just updated the slides by going through the latest leadership handbook. No area council member or proxy holder may cast more than 3 votes, even if that person is a member of more than 1 club in that area. That's very interesting. So only maximum 3 votes. If 2 or more candidates are nominated, each candidate in alphabetical order would present a 2-minute speech. The election will then take place. And again, we will explore as well the details of that, and we would have an amazing demo also by Toastmaster Farouk in a while. Voting by secret ballot. Any candidate who receives a majority of the votes cast is declared elected. I think that's also self-explanatory. In the event no candidate receives the majority of the votes cast for a contested office, voting continues without the name of the candidate who received the fewest votes. And I'll come to explain this in a while. This procedure continues until one of the candidates receives majority of the votes. Area director shall be eligible for, and I said that, re-election or reappointment, in our case, re-election, for 1 more succeeding term. To the degree predictable, the area director shall have served as members of a district council. And this had, honestly, very long debate, that statement itself. Should the area director be a president or a vice president of education? That rule, which I picked it from the governance document, says it clearly. To the degree predictable. So, of course, it's preferable for the area director to have filled president or VPE for many valid reasons, but you can have someone coming from the floor or nominating himself or herself who was not a president or a vice president of education. So that also is a possibility. A member may only be a candidate for elective office in 1 district at any given time. So you cannot be in District 20 an area director and District 25 also an area director. You can just be in 1 district, 1 ExCom role in a district. A member may not be a candidate for district position elected by district council while actively competing. And this is, I think, very valid. And I can't speak enough for this item, although this is something related to the contest and it's very highlighted in the contest rulebook eligibility. But many, and I'll leave it to the integrity of everyone, many just close an eye on this and just compete, and then all of a sudden you see also them being an area director. So it's up to the person in integrity. If you have a plan to become an area director next term, you should not really be competing. This is the a suggested form of the ballots for the area director, or in this case, the secretary, to record the election. So there would be name of the candidates there, how many votes each was taken or was received, and then details of the candidate, of the elected candidate, who is that person, and so on. So this is just an example of how you can do it. Of course, you can do it in person, you can do it hybrid, or even you can do it online. And there is a technical, we can have a workshop by itself just to cover the technical part of it. Easy part of it, you can use, of course, the Zoom polls, and then everyone would log in using another device, especially those who would be having three votes. That's the simplest way. But if we go into the technical part, there would be another workshop just talking about how the technical setup is done for hybrid and for online. Area council meeting, and that's the script. So you can, as an area director, there's no shame for you to have a script. District director have scripts for their councils. The international president have a script also for the council meeting. So it's fine. You can have a script, and it's even recommended to have a script. So the area director would start the meeting and start the elections. In that case, remember that the council is not just about the election. The council also about getting updates, getting help, support. If you can support your area as well, the clubs within your area. But apart from that, when it comes to the election itself, assuming that we have a quorum, the area director would just say, we will now conduct the election for area director for the term of July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. If there are no nominations, as there have been no nomination at this time, and that's written in the script, nominations for the 2024-2025 area director is open for nomination from the floor. So you can accept from the floor nominations. When you get a nomination, ask the person if they accept the nominations. So if I stood and said, well, I nominate Toastmaster Farouk as the next area director. So Toastmaster Farouk, the area director at that time would ask Toastmaster Farouk if he accept the nomination. Regardless if he says yes or no, thank them, and then ask again if there are any further nominations from the floor. Of course, all of this would go and we will have a detailed demo in a while, so Toastmaster Farouk will take us through the demo. But this is just heads up. That's how it is when there are no nominations received from any of the clubs. If no nominations from the floor or none of the nominated candidates accepts, then let the area council know that the office will be filled at a later date. If there is time to hold another council meeting before the deadline by the district director, or otherwise you will just have the incoming district director appoint. If you have one accepted nominations, that would be easy. We have one nominations for the name and then any other nominations. And if there are none, when you get a nomination, ask the person if he accepts the same thing. Regardless if he says or not, yes or no, you still need to open the floor for more nominations. But if there is only one, you just ask the secretary to cast a single ballot on behalf of the candidate. That's simple. When you have two, there would be a little bit of more things you need to do. And in that case, of course, you would ask each one of them based on the alphabetical order of their last name to give 2 minutes speeches. And you would have, as an area director, to stop them if they exceed 2 minutes, because for fairness. And then, of course, once this is done, then you just say, we will now hold the vote for next year's, and you do the voting. Yeah, and once you got the voting, you can just declare the results, who won the election. What if you get three? If you are lucky, I feel that this is fiction, but let's assume that you get three. Hopefully, if you are a lucky area director and you get three or more, then of course you would have the same thing. You would sort them by the last name in alphabetical order. You ask each one of them to give 2 minutes, and then you would go for the voting. If none of them gets majority, which is 50%, above 50% voting from the council members available, then you need to conduct another round by removing the lowest one. And that's how it goes. You need to continue until you get majority by the one of them. Until you get 2, for example, then you'll have to have majority, breaking the tie, 50% plus 1. And then, of course, at the end of it, you'll just say, I declare so-and-so elected for the office of the area director for the term, and so on. Now, when this is done, when you are done with the election and you got the names, the person who would be the incoming area director, of course, you need to intimate the district director. Now, although this is the official channel that you need to do, in my humble opinion, always keep your division director in the loop because they need to know. Although you're not, you need to report it to the district director, but also there is a responsibility by the division director making sure that this process also happens. And of course, because you send this earlier, so there would be the nomination form, there would be the district leadership agreement release statement, and then the candidate photo. That's the best practice. So you always ask them to include these forms to make it easier for the incoming district admin manager to fill in a form, and then that form, once it is all filled, to be sent to Toastmasters International for official appointments. And that's it. Sound simple? It is simple. I can tell you, it is simple. Although there are many rules that you need to think of, but it is a simple process that would definitely be easy to be done. And I encourage everyone, especially I can see current area directors in the house. So definitely you need to remember that. If there are more questions, we will leave the questions till the end, because I know that the practical part which is coming might answer most of your questions, or even might confuse you. No, I'm sure to answer all of your questions. And we will be around, of course, to help you with your questions. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience, and back to our amazing Master of Ceremonies, DTM Zahra.